Yeah, looks like we're live. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you guys chime in all the way from? Let me see. It's Ohio. I believe it's Ohio
Yes, sir.
and Tucson, Arizona. I'm in Stockton. I am Santos here. We are Soldiers of Self Mastery Live. I'm excited to be here tonight. We got a really 45-minute packed episode. Yes, we're gonna do a little bit of a reminder. Be ready for some rewiring. Be ready for some rewire because this is what it's about here tonight. So Jim's with us and Mateo's with us. Listen, folks, if you want to come on and if you got the guts and the glory to come on the camera with us, join us live. Once again, I want to thank you for being here. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, turn down every distraction possible, grab some coffee, some tea, maybe some popcorn, if you will. Throw it out the screen. No, I'm just kidding. But be ready at least to have something going on. Folks, don't waste your time by coming here tonight. Don't waste your time. Join in, and this is episode number 648, Your Solution Live. So, Jim, go ahead and give us our welcome, and Mateo, and then we'll get into this thing, man.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed that if you really want to have some type of change, you need some type of accountability, some type of pressure. And I think that really comes from someone. You have to be accountable to someone. To yourself is good, but I think there's an importance in having someone external pushing you. Um, Someone that you can feel kind of like bad if you're not doing the work that you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's the only way that you can go ahead and get through change. Um, you got to go and have, I guess you can go and say it's like a system, right? I think that's an important component if you want to go and have meaningful change. It could be a coach, it could be, a mentor, it could be even a boss, it could be a supervisor, it could be a family member, you know, um, and someone who cares about you, someone who cares about your progress. If you can get that aspect into your life, I believe uh, you, you will be able to get through some of the difficult times, even though it's painful, even though, I mean, because there's someone, that you have to be held accountable to.
Exactly. And well said. Mateo?
Yeah. And I'll just say, if you're gambling right now and it's becoming a problem, there's always a reason why you started, and there's got to be a more important reason why you got to stop. And I think that's a quick way to sum it up.
Reason, purpose. Excuse me. Let's get this started off by the way, thank you guys for sharing that. If you're on the outside looking in and you've got a question, welcome. Post it in the comments. Jim, I believe you're a moderator. I'm not sure if Mateo's a moderator. I believe he is. So we just keep an eye. Again, if you have a question, please. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, I'm inviting you to do so. Listen, if you're struggling with gambling, you're struggling with something else, let's work together on rewiring your mind. Um, let's work together on rewiring your mind. We can do that here. We can do that here. I got a quick joke I want to share with us here before we get started. I tried journaling once in the shower, but the ink didn't survive the therapy session. Have you ever tried writing ideas down in the shower? I do. I come up with stuff in the shower and then I get out. And anyways, that was just a joke. So this is Your Solution Live number 468, The Power of Journaling and Self-Talk. Your inner conversation shapes your outer world. Does it do it 100%? I don't think it does it 100%, but it will shape your inner thinking, your inner self-talk, your inner dialogue will shape something on the outside of you. Proverbs 23:7, and then we'll get into POI number 1. This is Proverbs 23:7. It's in the Old Testament, King James Version. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, we're all about change here. People come to this channel. I read the comments. Santos, I need help. You guys need to be more specific. Ivan, good evening. I see you guys. Thank you for being here. Again, this is a community of practice, and it is a mind stimulating community. This is a community that's going to kind of force you to think, to stop and think. Instead of just continually focus on what you're focused on, we're going to help you at least stop. You know, it's like you're doing 85, 90 miles an hour and there's a stop sign coming. You got to stop. You got to look both ways. You got to look in front. In fact, you might even have to look backwards. So that's why we're here tonight again, going over the same old monotonous stuff. Santos, all right, we'll get it going. Let me get point number one, and then we'll get some input from our guests. Number one, journaling creates clarity. Journaling creates clarity, right? Writing is thinking on paper. When you journal, you slow your thoughts down long enough to see what's been circling your mind. I gotta say that again because some of this stuff is redundant. We need to hear it, right? Your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. When you journal, you slow your thoughts down long enough to see what's been circling in your mind. Fear, doubt, faith, or vision. Now, Mateo has been working on himself. I'm kind of excited to hear. I know he's been doing different things. Listen, we all struggle, folks. Ain't nobody perfect, right? We all struggle. But Mateo, share. Do you feel that honestly taking a few minutes a week or thinking about your ST is actually helping you rewire your mind? Or do you think it's just cliche?
What'd you say, FT or ST?
ST. But FT's there too, right? Focus thieves. No, the ST, self-talk.
Self-talk.
Yeah, self-talk.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been having to improve like the past couple weeks. When I was gambling, my self-talk was very bad. You know, I just didn't value myself. I didn't value the skills that I had because I knew the skills that I had could help me get out of my situation. Like, you know, because I was taught to be a good salesman. So, you know, I'm always good at selling people, and that's a valuable career. You know, you always, if you're stuck in a rut, you know, focus on the things that you're good at. Because I guarantee a lot of the people in the audience, you guys have a lot of gifts and you're really smart. But, you know, the gambling, it's a negativity that beats you up and it keeps you down. So you always, the way I kept evaluating myself was I looked back on all the times that I wasn't listening. And I was like, oh, I really thought I listened that week, but no, I went back to gambling. And then I saw me in the comment section of these live streams, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get better. I'll do it. And then I just never did it. So I was like, why am I lying to myself and to this community? There's no reason to do that. So I was like, I'm gonna try and invest in myself and focus on myself.
Yeah, we'll get some input from Jimmy here. You gotta, like you said earlier, you gotta want something, right? You had a vision before, and it's just not a wise investment when you think about it. Really,
No.
It's not wise at all. And sometimes it amazes me how we could so easily forget. Maybe we have amnesia, Jim. I don't know. We seem to so easily forget the pain, and then we go right back to the slop, and then we get hit again. And again, that's rewiring us. We may not think about, there's no journaling involved there, right? But yet, as you're doing this thing, you're communicating with you may not be journaling at all. Maybe you're journaling online somewhere, right? Because a lot of people journal on a YouTube feed or whatever. They just leave their thoughts out there. That's a form of journaling. But you're doing more talking to yourself. You're driving home. You're getting up in the mornings. If you got to go to work, you got to feed yourself. If you got a family, you're talking. And what is that language that you're using on yourself? And then you feel stuck. Santos, help me. You got to be more specific, folks. Santos, I need help with self-talk, man. I need help rewire my thinking. My mind is going in the wrong direction constantly, Santos. And again, we're here to support you. We can create change. There's nothing that says that we can't do it. There's everything opposing you, telling you that you can't. But I'm saying here, along with Jim and many others, we can. You can. Again, you got to want it, like Mateo said earlier. Jim made a good point also, um, about, I believe you were speaking, you had talked about journaling. And Jim's a teacher, so I'm sure he does a lot of journaling with students, right? Keeping notes, etc., following the calendar. That's a teacher's guide, man. Teachers are always journaling, I think, with notes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, right. As first, when you're going through lessons, see how things worked, things didn't work. Um, yeah, journaling is powerful, because you can go out and find meaningful change. If something didn't work, right? Why didn't it work? Right? Um, you learn a lot about yourself when you start journaling, right?
Mm.
You really learn a lot about yourself if you have that opportunity. Um, and that's the bottom line right there. You got to go out and know yourself, why you do the certain things you do, why you feel the certain things that you do, right? All
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. You start kind of like putting the problem in front of you. And when you face that problem, now you have an opportunity to start developing some type of solution. Sometimes we don't want to look at ourselves. That's we want to avoid ourselves oftentimes, right? We want to go and distract ourselves because seeing seeing ourselves is just this could be scary. It's very painful, right? Depressing, a lot of despair, perhaps. But you got to be able to confront it. Like, one of the things that I was thinking about is a lesson that I gave the other day, and it dealt with friction. And we have an object going across the surface, and this object is bumping into these little small little obstacles, tiny little balls, right? And eventually the object stops because of the friction. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Those little balls, that the object that's hitting it, right? Those are my thoughts in my mind, obstacles that prevent me from moving forward, right? These little thoughts that get in the way of my progression. I was thinking to myself, I mean, I think one of the important things that we must do is always be aware of what we're doing in our lives, because everything has some type of message, some type of message. I mean, I saw this message, it's like, wow, I'm thinking about these little tiny little obstacles that can go and stop a moving object. Right? And that I was thinking, man, those are the focus thieves. Those are the negative thoughts. Those are the fear thoughts that come in,
The
right?
LBs, the limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Right. That steal my ability to go out and move forward. I thought to myself, it's like, oh, it's just, if you do that, you're gonna go and get tired. Oh, if you do that, you're wasting your time. All right, little thieves that come in and stop my progress. So being able to journal, being able to reflect upon what you're doing and thinking and feeling, right, will give you an opportunity to see the message behind it. And knowing yourself is really important. I mean, it's like when I go ahead and go about life, now I'm a little bit more observant, a little bit more mindful that, I actually am the world basically, this is what I believe now. The world basically is like a mirror of what's going on in here, right? It's like, all the things that I observe, the events, good or bad, is all based upon what's going on in my mind, and I realize that, I create a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of like distractions.
And the
Uh,
mind doesn't know any difference between a like someone running at you with a gun or a knife, or physically, or you thinking it. the mind, we might think, well, that there's a difference. There is a difference, but the mind can't really decipher that. So like you said, we entertain fear easily. We can easily entertain fear. Now you mentioned something. I know I want to get to Mateo here. You mentioned that, first of all, journaling is part of self-talk. Self-talk is part of journaling. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's actually a very magical experience. And I would encourage you on that are looking, or those of you that watch this video afterwards, I would encourage you to test the waters. If you've never journaled, get yourself a piece of and a pen and start journaling and see how that might impact your life, because everybody's different. So what I might write is impacting me. What I write and I share it with Jim, it's not going to impact Jim the same way, right? He's got to write his own thing to impact him. And us being here on Sundays, folks, I know we're running, the time is going quick. It's accountability. It's easier. Jim said it's easier when we can come together and have collective thoughts. Maybe once or twice a week is better than zero, especially if you're struggling with your mind. You know, I tell you, folks, I struggle with my mind sometimes. Not that I want to. It's because of the fact that I come from a domestic violent childhood background. And some of those things are still there. And you go through experiences in life that provoke these things. And sometimes you get provoked and you're not even aware of what's going on. So again, clarity, journaling, right? That's one thing, Jim, you said it, or Mateo. It's one thing to be alive and not really understand, you know, who am I? Who the fuck am I? And where am I going? Pardon my French. Where am I going? You know, I'm 60 years of age. What have I built? What have I done? Where am I going? What have I got today? Right?
Yeah.
Those are fresh. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Mateo.
Yeah. You know, if you're just confused on like what direction you should take and you're just getting a bunch of losses, you know, just if no one else is pointing you in the right direction, you know, try and point yourself in the right direction. You know, if negativity and if gambling is what you want, you know, it's going to lead you down a dark path and it might lead you to other bad influences. So influence yourself, you know, guard over your mind, like, and build it like a fortress. You know, make sure nothing in there can mess you up. You know, you want to make sure everything in your life's uplifting you. And I believe it starts with surrounding yourself with people. You know, make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right influences to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So and that's not an easy thing to do, you know what I'm saying? Because we're proud. I don't need any help. And we go through all this stuff, folks. You know, I'm at 60 years of age, and I'm looking at myself, and I've actually overcame quite a few hurdles this year, and I'm doing a lot better than I was a month or two ago. But it's taking me planning, and it's taking me a lot of practice and effort to get here, even financially. I finally broke through, and I'm not saying I'm rich by any stretch. I'm not. You know, I'm a disabled veteran. But we get benefits, right? Sometimes you have to wait a long time for certain benefits. Or you pay into Social Security disability, right? If you paid into it, you got to fight for it. And sometimes these are the things that you got to do in order to get the income that you need for whatever, you know, if you can't work any longer, if you can't hold a job. So you got to do all the, anyways, I want to get into point number 2 and point number 3 because time is going by very quickly. So again, I'm very grateful, but man, I find myself finding like these challenges in my head sometimes things just come out of nowhere, and I got to work on them, because if I just set it aside, it pops up somewhere else. It's what happens. Number 2, self-talk builds belief. Your inner conversation sets the thermostat of your life. Your inner conversation will set the thermostat. And we all have a thermostat, except maybe you've forgotten that you've had yours, and you need to set it. You need to recalibrate that thermostat. How
Wait,
are you going to do that?
what'd you say right there? You said self-talk builds relief?
Self-talk. I might have said that quickly.
Yeah,
Self-talk helps you develop your thermometer inside you so that you can control what you're thinking. Let me see. Um, hold on a minute.
I think you
Your
said
your
belief.
your inner conversation sets the thermostat of your life. If you keep telling yourself I can't, your actions will obey. Right? If you keep telling yourself I can't, I
Yeah.
tried, it didn't work for me. I've been doing this. I heard people, I used to say this myself, man, I've tried 1,000 times and it didn't work. No, you didn't try 1,000 times. You might have tried 5
Yeah.
and those 5 didn't work. Try another 5 and
Yeah.
those, try another 5. Um, so you begin to align your thoughts, emotions, and your actions. That's the secret sauce to personal victory or personal mastery. That's the secret sauce. A lot of people think, well, man, there's other ways that you can change your life by exercising. You can change your life by reading. You can do. There's a lot of things that you can do. For me personally, the 2 most powerful ways that you can start changing the way you think and your business and everything else about you, is through self-talk, ST, and journaling. I'm looking to see if there's anybody else in here. No questions, folks. Come on, guys. I know there's people watching. Anybody got some thoughts out there?
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Uh, what helped you stop when you were beginning to stop? What like pushed you in the right direction? Because I'm sure there was outside, you know,
Yeah.
whether that be motivation or influences that helped you get there.
Well, two key things that helped me, among others. Number one was I was going to YouTube a lot, and I was watching videos, and I would watch videos. I would watch like 30-minute videos, hour videos, and I would just watch the whole thing. I would watch the whole thing. I had time. I figure if I have time to go sit in a fucking casino for 10 hours or 8 hours, man, I got time to sit in front of an hour or two to watch videos to help retrain my
Yeah.
mind. My mind was really jerked. It was really bad. So I would come home and cry. I would cry because I had to go to work the next day, broke. And I knew that in 2 weeks I would be broke again. My check was already gone. I had gone into the overdraft. I done the credit. So what I would do a lot is I started learning about journaling. Write out your future, write it out, and just keep at it, keep at it. Now, is it 100% fail proof? No, it's not 100% yet. If you're willing to write some things, you probably have about 95%, maybe 85% chance of achieving those things versus just thinking about them or just speaking them out loud. When you begin to write, it shapes the way you think. And when you begin to write, it also rewires your mind. That's a good thing about rewiring your mind. You got to be willing to write. And why write? In fact, it's better than typing, it's better than dictating. Why write? Because you're involving emotions. And when you get emotions involved, it changes your chemistry. Anthony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, they talk about, if you're sitting like a bump on a log in front of a class, you're not going to learn anything. You got to be moving around. You got to be taking notes. You got to be doing some things to get that. Because if not, your mind is like, it's bored. It's bored. And you don't learn boring. You got to be animated. You got to be excited. You're on the other side. Get up and run around and do some jumping jacks if you have to. Get your emotions in it. Well, Santos, well, that's what it takes. Little tricks. Jim talked about the stressors on the road that cause friction. He talked about his thoughts. We can juggle around with our thoughts, can't we? Who's in control, Jim? Really, when we think about it, who's in control? Mateo, audience, who is in control?
I think one of the things that we have to be mindful of is
I get
the dangers of low self-esteem, as an opportunity to continue doing the bad behavior. If you say, I don't like myself, I'm not worth anything, that could just be an excuse to continue the downward spiral. I hate myself. I'm not worth anything. I'll lose all my money. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was dead. That kind of talk. You got to go ahead and be very careful about, how you feel about yourself. And, it could be from programming, when you're a young child. It's like all these subconscious things that go through one's mind, as an excuse to continue the bad behavior. If you truly loved yourself, if you truly cared about yourself, it's like, you know what? This stuff is not good for me, right? This stuff is not good for me. I'm better than this, right? I'm an important person. I have a lot to do with my life. I have a lot of things that I can go ahead and get done. This behavior is not right. Okay? And if you're not saying those words to yourself, if you're not feeling those words, you know, it has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. It's like, you know what? This way of thinking about myself, this attitude that I have about myself,
Mm-hmm.
it's destructive. I see it here in my habits, going to the casino, going to my addiction over and over again. And why do I continue allowing this to happen? Well, let me go out and take a look at how I feel about myself. You know, why do I keep on doing this? Right? It's like, where is this coming from? Why don't I feel any self-worth? You know, why I wouldn't allow this to happen to anyone else, anyone I care about. Why is this happening to me? Why am I treating myself so poorly? Why am I thinking about myself so poorly? And then, once you go ahead and start asking that question, where did it come from? And then you start asking yourself, do I believe this? You know, do I believe this anymore? Does this have any merit? Then you start, asking yourself, you know what? Uh, do I have to go and believe this? No, I have a choice. I have a choice. I have a choice to figure out what I'm going to go and focus on instead of focusing on the perceived bad things that I've done in my life or what's happened to me. What can I go and focus on? Do I have to go and choose to feel this way anymore? Why do I have to feel this way? You start asking yourselves questions when you get down to this root. But you got to go and address, how you feel about yourself, I believe.
Mhm.
If you don't have your own back, nothing will work, I don't think. If you
Yeah.
don't have your own back.
Powerful. If you don't have your own back, yeah, of course, that's primary, right? In order to create change, you got to have your own back. You got to be willing. Let me get into three real quick, and then I know Mateo's got some thoughts. Uh, Point of interest number three. We're coming down to the end of the wire here. We got about another 15 minutes, maybe. So I want to say that self-talk isn't crazy; it's creation, right? You're either programming your mind with faith or fear. You're either programming your mind with faith or fear. And, especially when you're young, I know a lot of young people that leave comments, man, I lost 15,000. I lost, you know, $50,000. And I see all these comments, people losing money, yet they're not really specific on the type of support that they're looking for. So that tells me that a lot of these people, they're just, in general, maybe they don't even know who they are anymore. Isn't that like Jim said? And I know, can you imagine just you're not thinking, you're not living, you're like a clone if you're just existing. It's a better life when you know at least where you're headed. I'm reminded of Walt Disney. Walt Disney created a big vision, Mr. Walt Disney. You know, somebody said Walt Disney, oh, he died, or his brother was asked, Walt Disney's brother answered a question that was presented. He said, you know, Walt Disney created this huge park. It was a vision, big vision, but he never stepped foot in it physically. And his brother said, oh, he did. He did step foot in that vision up here. See, he didn't make it physically, but he was there. So the mind doesn't know the difference. You could be writing your own story. You could be writing. And exactly what's happened to me is a lot of what I've written down, to be honest with you. I didn't expect to be on YouTube. I didn't expect to be talking about these topics, but I wrote them out so much and I studied them so much that that's what comes out of me, because that's what's been helping me. To answer your question, Mateo, I went a long way about it. Self-talk, obviously prayer, God's grace. Journaling has made a huge impact. And journaling is for everybody. It's for police officers. It's for nurses. It's for doctors. It's for businessmen.
Firefighters.
Yep. It's not for the lazy person. I can tell you that. Journaling is not for the lazy person, because the lazy person doesn't really see the benefit of what journaling. And we think, well, journaling is just writing in a book. Journaling is expressing thoughts and putting them down on paper or some log.
I got
And I
another
tell you, there's
question.
people.
I got
Yeah,
another question for you. What do you think is holding people back the most to quit gambling?
it's the mindset. It's the
Yeah.
mind. It's the trickery, like Jim said, the thoughts. It's the battle. And we go
Yeah.
back and forth. And your mind, see, the thing is that your mind can easily deceive you. If you don't know who you are, if you're not aware, right? Your mind can easily deceive you, because again, your mind is a very, very powerful muscle in the body. Uh, can you live without your heart? I think they can put a pig one in there. I think. Can you live without a brain? I'm not sure. They said they did some transplant of a brain, but I've not read up on it. I think once your brain is gone, you're gone. You're done. And let me
Yeah.
tell you something. It is very difficult to rewire your mind if you're not working on it, especially in our day today, where there's so much stuff going on. There's so many trickery, marketing, and deception. Deception is worldwide. So, your mind is working, and sometimes it'll just go and keep going and keep going. And unfortunately, trauma does that to us. That's why I believe that writing things down, journaling helps. It will help your trauma, because we don't know the different types of traumas can show up in our lives at various times. We don't know. It depends on, you might be working on your trauma that you're aware of, but there might be something else that you're not aware of. For instance, you might get aggravated. You might get into an argument. You may say something. You may respond to somebody. You may enter into a negotiation, a business, that can go very sour, really sour for you. And things are going to go sour anyways. They are. It's just the world we live in. But we got to learn to make, some lemonade, I guess, when it gets sour.
Yeah, we
I
can't
think we
keep
can.
beating ourselves up when things get a little bad. We just have
Yeah.
to
Yep.
go over it.
Yeah.
And
Get it out, right? The thing is,
yeah.
if you hold, that's one thing about journaling. You can write out, you can listen. Sometimes you don't even want to tell somebody what you're going through. It could be your worst thing, but you can put it on paper. And when you put it on paper, there's a release, especially if it's something that's really deep and bothering you, man. You put it on paper and there's a release. Is that going to heal your trauma? It'll begin to heal. It'll begin a process of healing. And if you continue that, you're going to work on that. And again, we're like, you got to be your own doctor. I listen to this doctor. He's not a doctor like a master's degree doctor that operates on people and fixes bones, but he's a doctor that teaches people natural healing, Dr. Reese. And I listen to him. Some of the things that he says and how he talks about the mind and the body. And we are our own doctor. You are your own doctor, and you have to learn. In fact, there's a scripture that says, physician, heal thyself. We need to work on ourselves, and we need to learn how. You should know when to go to the hospital, when not to go to the hospital. Why, Santos? Because they'll pump you up full of pills. That's their system. You ever notice that? You go to the hospital, yeah, we got a pill. We got this. Well, how you doing on your prescriptions? We're going to have to get the prescription. Pills. That's what we get when we go to the hospital. So, you know, if you go to the hospital, you got to know it. No, I'm not interested in taking a pill. I just want to do things naturally. Doctors don't like you very much. They probably don't want to treat you. They want to give you pills. Why? Because that's money. Part of the marketing system and the whole thing. And I tell you, people are swallowing that one hook, line, and sinker. They go to a hospital. I know people that are just, and I was there too, but I took pills for a certain amount of time, and I said, I'm getting rid of this shit because I know what, you know. Again, it's about rewiring and talking to yourself.
Yeah.
That, or, you know. Anyway,
don't
go
put
ahead.
don't put too many negative things in your brain, because once you start thinking negativity, you'll start influencing others to be negative themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I have a lot of people around me. They'll say things under their breath, like they want, like I said today, I was like, yeah, I want to get on this podcast. I got to get home because I want to help people. And then my one buddy, he was drunk and he was like, oh, you don't help people. And I was like, what? I was like, what was that? Because like I do care about helping people. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be showing up here if I don't want to try and get my point across and try and explain, hey, we can all get better together, you know? But he didn't know what he was saying. You know, sometimes we say things because we're influenced by others. We're influenced by the outside. We want to always keep a positive environment up here. You know, that's the most
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, let me it looks like Mark was trying to put a question in or something. I see a comment, but maybe it was a question. I'm not sure. By the way, Mark, welcome. If you're still watching, I don't know what your question is or your comment, but I do want to thank all of you guys for being here. Appreciate Mateo, appreciate Jim for being here. We're going to get ready to close the store, but before we do, let's come down and let me say this. Combined journaling plus self-talk equals transformation. Combined journaling plus self-talk equals transformation. For those of you that are stuck, you want help, you want support. Hey, here's one way. Here's one way. Maybe you didn't know that this exists. Here's one way that will begin to help you rewire your mind, begin to develop your emotional intelligence, folks, because again, like Mateo said, what is, you don't want to live. You don't want to be alive in this situation, right? When you find yourself distraught, going nowhere, and then like your self-talk becomes really, really bad and you influence other people. Yes. When you write what you want and speak what you believe, you begin to align your thoughts and emotions and actions. So basically, here's something that I want to share with you. Some of us talk to ourselves so much, we should probably start charging rent in our own heads, right? Start charging rent to yourself because what you're talking to yourself too much. Any thoughts, any comments? By the way, if you're not subscribed to this channel, I'm inviting you to subscribe. Hey, if you can donate $7, if you can donate $7, you can give it to the gambling slop machines, SLOP slop machines, if you want to do that. Or you can do it here. We help each other. We help others. $7. There's tools available. There's community. There's even coaching. Coaching is more of like an investment, right? It's it doesn't take a whole lot. Yet I was just thinking about something. You know, sometimes we can learn something in 60 years, right? It could take you 60 years to learn something, or it may possibly maybe it would only be a year for you to learn, or 6 months, just by learning from somebody else what they went through in 60 years, right? You can pick something up and, man, that sounds good. I think I'm going to apply that because I don't want to wait 60 years to reach that kind of. So again, we can learn from others. We can learn from others' mistakes if we're open. If you're open, and I'm going to encourage you to open your mind like a parachute, because a parachute only works when it's open. The same thing with our minds, right? We can learn from each other. Again, it is boring, folks. It's boring to learn sometimes, and not so boring. But once you start getting things and you see a change, you get excited. And you want to, how far, like Mateos, how far can you dig in yourself and find who are you? You know what I'm saying? Who are you? What are you capable of doing?
How
What
much
are
is
you
how
capable?
much is your coaching?
Well, I make it, I make it pretty reasonable depending on what somebody can afford. And
Okay.
depending if someone wants to hire me for a week, we can do 3 days. We're not going to do every day in a row, but obviously we can do 45-minute sessions and we can get on camera. And the thing is, I'm there to support you with your goal, right? It's not about my
Hmm.
goal. If you hire me as a coach, you got to have a goal in mind that you want to reach
Yeah,
in a certain amount of time, and
I'm
you
gonna
haven't been able
hire
to do
you.
it. You haven't been able to do it because I can't coach. If somebody comes with me or mentor, they says, I haven't been able to do this, but I want this. I'm willing to pay the price. Okay. I'm willing, Santos, I'm willing to pay you $250 a month, which is cheap. That's not what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
that's not what I'm charging. But I'm just saying, that again, hey, if somebody rich that makes $10,000 a month calls me up and says, I need your coaching. Okay, well, hey, how's $500 a month for 3 sessions, 4 sessions?
Yep.
Is it worth to you for changing within 30 to 60 days of finding that solution? Are you willing to invest $500? Yes or
Right.
no? I know
I
I had to. In fact, I'll share this story. I remember I paid this guy one time $3,500. $3,500, and I didn't even get coaching sessions with him. What I
Wow.
got was a bunch of videos. Did they help me? Yeah, they helped me a little bit. I think I got one coaching session with this guy. It was like $3,500. And I was really after him because, as a business expert and rewiring the mind and all this stuff. And did I learn some things from him? Yes, I did. But was it worth me paying 3,500? Nah, maybe 1,000, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000, but not. No, if he was coaching me 3 days a week and just on me like that, where he was my mentor, yeah. But other than that, and again, I'm reasonable. I mean, there's people out there that charge a lot of money for coaching and mentoring. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. I believe that, if there's an agreement, hey, somebody might be able to, like I says, I give $7 can get you one coaching session, right? $7 can get you one coaching session. Actually, a coaching session can be free. I don't mind helping people again, but I will not get into, if you don't have a certain goal that you want to achieve. We got one session. We got to work hard in that 1 hour to get you the very best that you need, folks. Either that or I wasted your time and you wasted mine.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Mateo?
Yeah, I'm somebody who needs coaching, even though I'm about to be 30 days free because I can't trust myself. I know I need, to be pushed in the right direction continuously. So once I start getting my job and getting paid again, I'm definitely going to hire you for coaching. And
We can talk about that.
I for
And of
sure,
course,
I
yeah.
for sure know that you're going to put me in the right direction to make sure. What I just want to be assured of
Hmm.
is that, this is something for you to plan out. How can you make sure that I never go back? I want to make sure that I never go back.
It's
Yeah.
all about rewiring, right, Jim? Right here. As long as you've got rewiring going on and you've got this thing right here that can allow you to talk to yourself, that's where I come in and help you and support you. See, I can't do it for you, right? I got to do this for myself, but I
Mm-hmm.
can, because I know I can do it and I've been doing it for myself. I know that I can do it for others. The challenge is that most people don't believe in themselves, man. They just don't believe in. They get into something, and I'm not saying you, Mateo, but I've coached with individuals that I could tell they just had a hard time breaking through certain barrier in their mind. They couldn't break through, and I had to let go at least 1 or 2 clients, and I said I can't help you because I can tell you're not here, man. And I can give you 150%, but that's not going to do you any good if I give you 150%. You're not here. So, but that's how it works. Yeah, I mean, I'm open. I can do a certain amount of slots during the month, and I will try to do my best to make it, I mean, affordable, reasonable for anyone. Even if you're not working, we can still work something out, right? But I will not coach somebody for free. And I'll tell you why. I won't do that. I've done it. I tried it before several times, and it was just it was a waste. It was a waste because you put value on whatever it is that you pay for. If you pay for something, you know what? You got homework to do tonight. Okay, you just paid $60 for a session. You got homework. I'm going to ask you about it the next session. For that $60, you're going to do your homework, right? Imagine if that $60 was $120 or $300. You better do your homework now. And some coaches out there teach. They. Again, not everybody needs coaching, but it can be expensive. And the thing is, it's an investment, right? You go to somebody that's been around for 50, 60 years, they're going to give you something that can curb your learning in days
Right.
or even hours, that's what coaching is really all about. It saves you time and money. And again, Jim talked about those frictions on the road. It helps you eliminate a lot of those frictions so that you can roll a little bit smoother. That's what coaching does. Anyways, so much for that. Jim's probably got a thought. We're coming down to the close of the wire. We're going to be back here on Sunday. We'll be back here, Lord willing, here Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, this is a community. We got some tools. We got a free quick guide. Coaching, if you're up for that, right? Mentoring is a little bit tough, but it's available. And go ahead, Jim. You got some thoughts.
That, if you really want to, I guess, fight your addiction, you got to go know yourself. You have to really map yourself out. I mean, think about it. There's certain times when you feel good, certain times you feel bad. There's certain times you have temptations. What are you going to go and do about these times when you are weak? I mean, you have to go back, and that's why we talk about journaling. What happened? Take a look and see. You're basically doing an autopsy over the weekend, let's say. It's like, why did you go ahead and instead of go home, why did you go to the casino? Right? How are you feeling? Something happened at work? Were you tired? I mean, were you getting excited? I mean, did something trigger your desire to go over? I mean, were you depressed? I mean, did something happen at work or something happen with your family or whatever relationship? There's these triggers that will send you, and you have to think, you know what? I have these triggers. This is who I am, and I need to be on top of my behaviors. I have to be on top because, if I'm not on top of it, if I'm not planning, preparing, I'm going to go and I'm just going to go back. All right. So what am I going to go and do? What am I going to do when I'm in this situation? You know, I mean, am I going to put some stops in place? Is it money? Right? Do I have easy access to money? Let's say. All right. Well, it's like when I'm weak, I have easy access. Do I really want to go ahead and quit? If I do, I need to go ahead and put my money or access to money in a place where I can't use it for gambling, you know, or very little, very small amount, you know. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, and that I think that's a choice you have to go ahead and really commit to. It's like if you're committed to change, these are the hard things that you have to go and do. Right? It's not an easy thing to give up your credit card or debit card to someone, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy to go out and tell your family member, look, I have this problem and I need help. Here's my situation. This is what happens. I get triggered, you know, um, and when I do that, this is what I do, right? And I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself, and I need help. That takes commitment right there, and that takes a serious, serious effort. So, I mean, it's like if you're not willing to go and put that kind of effort in, it's like I don't think there's going to go out and be much room for change. There's not going to be any change. So it's a real serious decision that you have to go and make, and I think it goes back to the way you feel about yourself. It's like, am I worth it? Am I worth making positive change in my life? you know right? Is it doable? you know Do I believe I can go and do this? I mean, like, the imagination, you talked about Walt Disney, one of the most powerful things that we have is our imagination. We create everything based upon our imagination. And unfortunately, a lot of it is negative. A lot of it is negative. The mind will go ahead and create based upon what the subconscious has developed, you know, negative self-talk, a lot of negative experiences. Our imagination is tied to that stuff, and it creates awful, awful places,
Yeah.
that we don't want to be. And in order to want to protect ourselves, we go to our addiction, you know? It's like, I don't want to go ahead and be in that awful place that my subconscious has like drawn me to, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but the nice thing is that we do have an imagination to work for us in the positive. We can imagine better. We can imagine, better talk. We can imagine us doing things that are positive.
Yeah.
Uh,
In fact, take a minute right now. By the way, thank you, Laura, for leaving that comment. And I wish you well with your new place. And I hope Mark is helping you there. Let's take a minute real quick here. I want you guys, everybody on here, to think about something very good right now. Just take a minute, a few seconds, and think about something good that just happened or that you would like to see happen, right? Right now, can you think about it? Can you think about that thing? And what's it feel like when you think about that thing, right? How does it make you feel? And the more that you do this, folks, the more that you do this, the more that you strengthen that muscle, because this is a muscle. It's a muscle here, Santos, but it's a brain with a lot of it's got the same fleshy material that your intestines have and all that stuff. Yes, but it's a brain. It's a different matter. It's a system. It's like a computer. It's an advanced computer. Your brain is. It is. It's a neat thing when you learn how to really effectively use your mind. So, with that said, folks, and we're gonna give Mateo about a minute here. We'll give Jim a minute to close. It'll be about a minute each, and we're gonna do our call to action here. So, again, journaling is your plan, folks. Self-talk is your voice of power. Okay, together they rewrite your story. Now we've been on a series for the past couple of weeks, um, hitting all of us with self-talk and journaling. And we throw in a few other practices in it. But the main thing that I want to leave you with tonight, I want you to think about this. Spend 10 minutes each morning journaling your gratitude and your goals. Just try it, man. Santo, just try it, man. Okay, 10 minutes. If 10 minutes too long, Santos. Okay, 5 minutes then. Do five. Do something. 5 minutes. I have a book I wrote. It's called 50-Minute Mornings Breakfast of Champions. It's a good book. It's on Amazon. It's called 15-Minute Mornings Breakfast of Champions. You'll find that book on Amazon. It's a good little, it's like 30 minutes of reading. A great book for mornings. Speak one affirmation out loud that aligns with scripture. For example, today I walk in peace, purpose, and power. I am guided by God's wisdom. Do this for 7 days. It's not that difficult, right? Jim, Mateo, it's not that difficult. Again, you just got to want it. You just got
Right.
to want it.
Yeah, good affirmation I've been saying recently is I just keep reminding myself that God is merciful, and whatever situation you're going through, he's going to help you. He's going to put the right resources if you want it to change. And Santos and Jim are really good resources, and I'm glad I'm involved in this community. However big or small my voice or words can do to someone to help them.
Exactly. We're all gonna hold each other accountable here to a certain degree, obviously. But it's just good, even once a week, or twice a week, if we can do this. Folks, if there are others that really want to be a part of this community, join us. Let us know. Listen, we all have ability, we all have talent. Somebody can give me an idea that can help grow this channel and reach people even further, younger people. There's all kinds of things that we can do. I'm 60 years young here. I've got a lot going on. I need support. You know, I've got a trip I'm going to be making across the United States. That's not going to be an easy trip for me, but I'm going to try to do it. I got to meet with family. And, you know, I want to make this channel right here. I don't want to make it entertainment. This ain't entertainment, man. By far, any stretch, it's not entertainment. But I do want to make this a Soldiers of Self-Mastery community. That's what I want. And what is Soldiers of Self-Mastery? It's a way of life. It's a way of thinking. Is Soldiers of Self-Mastery tied to you, Santos? No, it's not tied to me. It's tied to a bigger vision for your life. What is a soldier of self-mastery? You can name that for yourself, right? Well, I'm a female. There's female soldiers. There's female soldiers. There's male soldiers, right? What is soldiery in your life? You have to figure that one out. Together we can do it here. So I'm done. I've shared everything. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, all the guests. Laura. Let me see. There's a comment that just came in. I agree. It's a 2 to 3 day stop gambling. I hope I succeed. Or you've been 2 to 3 days already. Because I've been zero for years in savings. I have only $100, but now successful will be normal. Man, I hope you feel empowered. I'm glad you're here. Come again. If there's anything that we can do to support you, listen, it's possible, it's real, and yes, you can overcome this thing because it's smaller than you realize.
Yep.
It might be big right now in front of you, but it's smaller than you'll realize. With that said, I want to thank all of you guys, and I'll be back on Sunday. So, Jim, Mateo, last words.
Santos, let Jim share his outro.
Okay, so one thing that I suggest is we all should be thinking and acting intentionally, right? Every thought, every action should have a purpose. Start getting into that habit, trying to go and discipline our thoughts. It's like, if I'm going to be thinking something, right? Is it for my best interest, or is it for my worst interest, right? Is it uplifting, or is it negative, right? Every thought, every action should be intentional. What's your goal? What's your plan? Is it to go ahead and feel better about myself and better about my life? Every thought, every action should be thought of, intentionally. We need to go ahead and be, making sure we get into that habit. And if you want to go ahead and improve your life, we need to go ahead and get into the habit of disciplining our mind.
Well, with that said, folks, disciplining our minds, holding ourselves accountable. This is a community here. You're welcome. Tools. And with that said, I'm not going to keep anybody longer. We will see you on next Sunday, Lord willing. Jim will be with us, Mateo, and we have maybe other guests that would like to join us on camera. So with that said, thank you guys, and be safe and get ready for Monday.
Thanks, Santos. Thanks, Mateo. Have a great
guys.
week.
Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mateo.
Take care. Bye-bye.